Get all your crunchiness out now.
I'm eating slowly. Faking.
Mm-hmm. It is so delicious. I can hear the mouth sounds. I probably should have waited on hitting play on that video.
Yeah, it's fine.
People get to see us as we really are, which I think it's rather consistent. I did switch it.
Okay.
All right.
It was just, I had it the other way the other day. I just wanted to check because
Oh.
you might not have known that.
I do check because I knew you took it for your meeting. So,
It's how much you love me.
Yeti microphones hot tip before we start this thing, work great for Zoom meetings with a room full of people.
I do.
All right, here we go. Why, hello.
Hey there.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, you too. It's been what, like 3 days?
It has, well, maybe that long. I mean,
Actually, it's been like since
longer.
Monday of last week.
Technically,
I think.
but you haven't been in the house since Friday afternoon.
We've resided in a bedroom together to sleep next to each other. That's been about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's our season of life.
Right now.
So good to see you.
You too.
You just came down the mountain, which you're going to talk about
I
more
did.
for Big Talk.
I did.
Very exciting.
I'm reinvigorated.
Yes, it's been long overdue.
Yeah.
Small talk. Oh wait,
Maybe before that, we should say that you are all welcome to Catholic Hitch. And I'm Dale.
I'm Kit.
And we are a Catholic family seeking heaven and hoping to pick up others along the way.
Small talk.
So I can see what happens when I go away. These things get discombobulated.
Hey, I feel like really great because our house isn't as much of a disaster as when you left.
It looks
we
great.
did a little bit of cleaning.
You look wonderful. You smell
Aw.
wonderful.
Thank you. I felt like my hair, so I flat ironed it today, and it kind of smelled like a flat iron. So I sprayed it with my perfume stuff.
Oh.
Because everywhere I went, I just kept smelling like the flat iron smell, which I don't know if that means that maybe I need to get a new flat iron. I don't know.
I don't know.
But it was very strange. I'm like, what is that smell everywhere? Is that the fried food that I made this morning? No, that is flat iron from my hair.
Well, I don't mind because I haven't smelled that perfume on you in a very, very long time.
I know I don't use perfume very often.
So
It feels like a faux pas socially to use perfume anymore.
Really?
Yeah,
I don't know. It's nostalgic for me
I guess so.
because you would wear that all the time when we were dating.
Yeah, I've had it a long time.
I know.
I have very particular scents that I like.
Yeah, I doubt you can get that these days.
No, I mean it's you basically look for. I don't even want to say vanilla because it's not really vanilla.
It's not
like more of
vanilla.
like Asian spices, I'd say. I don't go with the fruit or the flowery smells.
No.
Generally, it's more like Eastern. I think it's usually what I like.
Hmm.
I can't smell myself right
I was
now.
gonna say, I'm not sure how well that's gonna work out for you, honey.
No. It's been a strange weekend. So yeah, you've been gone.
Yeah.
But we thought for small talk, we were trying to reflect on what have we not really talked about for a while, and I thought I could talk about homeschool and provide a little homeschool update.
Do tell. I'm all ears.
Well, I do tend to man this fort more than you do.
I do spelling checks spelling tests on Fridays. That's about all I have the
I know.
capacity for.
So we are in our second year using Mother of Divine Grace. So Christina's in the 8th grader curriculum, and she'll be technically high school next year, and God hasn't sent us any signals to deviate.
No.
And so we're going to keep going with homeschool. Seems to be going well. So I think we're going to maybe try a different curriculum next year. There's a friend of Christina's who's a year ahead of her who's doing a different curriculum. So she's in high school, quote unquote freshman. And we might explore what they're doing. But with Mother of Divine Grace, it's a classical curriculum. So it means it is super intense, I'd say, is usually what that means. And it focuses on reading, writing, although actually there's not a lot of writing in this curriculum, arithmetic, grammar is rather intense. So that's been
It's about my pay
challenging
grade.
lately. Yeah, so the first year was really, because we started Christina in 7th grade, not 6th grade, I think it was quite the learning curve for her to start grammar, and it was challenging.
Good
this
thing
year,
she's a GT kid.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think that'll work with the other ones.
frankly, like what she's doing in grammar is stuff that I did in college.
Yeah.
Like as an undergrad, getting a linguistics minor.
Which isn't surprising as a classical schooling, that all Americans are dumb because that's our school system.
It is. There's a lot of touchy-feely stuff in schools now, from what I'm observing.
Well, it was there when we were in school, too. I mean,
Yeah.
why in the hell in algebra class are we talking about our feelings about an algebra problem? Yeah,
I don't remember.
that
doing
was mine, ninth grade. I'll never forget. That teacher, I'm like, what are you talking about? I can solve a math problem. Give me one. Don't tell me how I feel about this problem.
Ooh.
Yeah, I got a D in that semester.
I bet you did.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had
thing.
a math teacher ask me how I feel about math, which I would have said I quite like math. Thank you very much.
You would have gotten an A in the class, of course.
So yeah, with curriculum, I mean, it's intense when it's classical, and I believe the grammar is intended to tie in strong, like, let's do talking take 2. I believe grammar is intended to lay a strong foundation for learning other languages, because that is where I think learning grammar and understanding what is happening grammatically, like when you put together a well-composed, complete, correct sentence, there's a lot happening grammatically that you just do automatically when you're a native speaker of any language. But if you actually have to learn how the grammar is working, it makes it easier to transition to a different language.
That's crazy.
I think it's honestly intended to really support Latin, which would make sense with a classical curriculum.
Yes.
That's one of the units that's in the curriculum that we're using that we basically said, nope, we're not going to do this when we started. So, yeah, we just went through, well, we're in the middle of a rather intense grammar unit. That's basically the stealth grammar pieces where you really have to understand what's happening in the sentence structure to actually identify whether it's a participle or if it's a gerund, to understand what is happening with the infinitives, etc. So grammar is very intense. Math she's always done pretty well with. Spelling she's doing fantastic with, and it's like spelling and vocabulary, so she's learning a lot of great words. You're so quiet, it makes me feel nervous.
All I can think in my brain is that she's like a spy or a CIA agent that is having to dissect the sentence and sneak in to find the hidden reveals of the words.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what you have to do when you actually get to this level with grammar. That's where I was trying to relearn sentence diagramming the way I learned it. And there's a different way of diagramming that she did end up learning that I think they use with people who go like professionally into teaching. So people who go through the educational route to become teachers, I believe that they learn this type of sentence diagramming. And this is the sentence diagramming that's also in the book at the end, as it turns out. But I learned a more organic form of sentence diagramming than this is. So either way, it's very beneficial, I think, to understanding the language. And it really gives you like a great, I don't know, Chrissy's not enjoying it like the way that I enjoy it, unfortunately. But I was quite a lot older when I was introduced to this level of grammar.
Yeah.
She's done really well this whole year with grammar because of last year. So last year was really hard for her because she had to actually...
It was like 2 grades in 1, basically, because she had to...
Kind of, yeah, she had to catch up.
Yeah,
with like everything that was laid, the foundation was laid in 6th grade. She joined the curriculum 7th grade, so it kind of already assumed that she knew some stuff that she didn't know already.
Right.
So for the most part, this year has been a lot easier for her with grammar because she knows everything from last year. And that's the way classical curriculum works, is it's kind of cyclical, and you lay a foundation and then build on that foundation year after year.
That's a crazy idea that you would start with a foundation of an idea and then build upon the foundation and re-look at the foundation again to build future and more advanced things.
And I don't know if that does not happen in public schools. I don't know enough to say it doesn't, but I do know that it's like a core of classical education.
Yeah.
Now that we've done a smidge of classical education with her. But yeah, this particular area, this like unit was not in last year's unit because it's these stealth pieces of grammar that you have to really identify what they are based on like how they're being used. So you have to diagnose, detective work on the whole sentence structure. And so that's where, it'd be much easier if I could remember how I learned sentence diagramming because it's much more organic, where you take the sentence and you have to diagram it from there instead of putting it together in this other format, which is what they conventionally use for diagramming. But it, as we're teaching Christina, so we haven't had, again, a flash of insight from God, about any of the rest of our children. So we're intending to pull them to homeschool in 6th grade.
Yes.
Unless we get something, an external signal of some kind, or internal signal, I guess, is what it would be. I feel like I'm making this super awkward. But
if God gives us a sign, we shall take it internally or externally, whichever way he goes.
However it presents. So typically isn't external signs, but you never know. Maybe a school open up near us that's really close by that needs students. Who knows? Otherwise, we're planning that all the kids are going to go homeschool. And so as we're going through a lot of this with Christina, I have to keep in my mind, like, we're going to be doing this with Terrence soon. And he's a very different student. Yes, and he has different abilities.
He's a different child with a different learning method.
Yeah.
As we could tell, I was super excited to see The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, that he's actually reading it.
Yeah.
For school, which, one, it blows my brain that the school's actually using a C.S. Lewis book in a public setting, but hey, great.
Maybe these kids will like it and they'll start reading the other stuff.
Maybe.
That'd be great.
But yeah, his ability to use words as in his own writing skills, that's going to be a challenge.
Yeah, I think, we've been doing tutoring for Terrence. We're getting closer to 2 years than 1 at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So we've rounded the corner on 1.5 years, and it's so helping him with reading that I just don't know if we're ever going to stop.
Well, his reading is, he's catching up to where he should be with his ability to read. It's his writing that's now the next step, I imagine, in that journey is, okay, now that you can read and you're discovering new words, new stories, and all the beauty that comes with that, now we got to step up on writing it down.
Yeah.
And good handwriting and things like that. So probably I will be helping with writing out more architectural lettering and things like that.
That's why I got that book.
Goes further along.
So something that we learned as we were kind of realizing that Terrence has likely dyslexia, I did a lot of reading, and architects actually tend to be proportionately more dyslexic people than the general population, and that's because of the skill set that dyslexia gives to people's brains.
Right.
So dyslexia benefits interconnectivity and spatial awareness like significantly, which of course is going to be architects. So when I went through a little bit of architecture school, which is how I met you, they taught us drafting lettering, which is all caps. And, as I'm reading this book, it's like, a lot of adults come to cope with dyslexia without realizing it. They just start writing in all caps. Like, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's architectural lettering.
Yeah, it's funny.
Makes a lot of sense.
Because I never learned architectural lettering. I learned engineering lettering, mechanical lettering, which is very different.
I'm sure.
And so I actually have a hard time with architectural lettering. But I kind of squeak my way through.
Well, I had a hard time with it anyway because I've always been more of a typer than a writer. Like, I've been typing my spelling sentences since 1st grade. We had an old dot matrix printer, and I had a DOS at home that I knew the keywords to put in to like get to the word perfect or whatever program, and I would type my spelling sentences. Anything that I had to produce like on my own that wasn't in a worksheet, I've been typing. So I've just never been like strong in the handwriting department either. So I'd have to say it'd be good for him to be able to write legibly, but I don't have great handwriting either. So it's like if we can move over to, typing with him and be able to apply like word rules and spelling rules to typing, like that would check the box for me.
See, I disagree. I think you have excellent handwriting, and it's relative. If you were to look at my handwriting compared to your handwriting, yours is beautiful. Mine is not.
I know, but if you were to compare my handwriting to most women's handwriting, you notice these things when you're a woman signing a large group card to someone. That's when you really notice how terrible your handwriting is. When you're like the 5th person or 6th person or 9th person to sign a card to someone, and everyone has these beautiful little like well-wishing handwritings, and I'm like, it's my handwriting, and I'm totally fine with it, but it isn't great.
Good. I'm glad to hear that you're comfortable with your handwriting.
I'd much rather type anything than write it.
Okay.
I think you know this about me.
Yes, I do.
So anyway, that was a little bit of a squirrel there. So yeah, Terrence will need to work on handwriting.
We'll get
but
there.
I was thinking about grammar with him, and I might just go the sentence diagramming route, like hardcore with him, because there is like a space. It's not spatial. There's a connection, like a building structure to sentence diagramming that isn't the way, just writing itself. Or if I were to teach him, like, this is a verb, this is a noun.
It won't work.
Sentence diagramming will work, I think, for him. So because it's a little bit analytical, and I start super, super basic with caveman, sentences.
Mm-hmm.
So I ran fast, or actually that one's too complex because you're using an adverb. So I don't know. This will be in my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
But it's something that we have to start thinking about because Terrence is going to be in 5th grade next year, which gives me one more year. And he's, it is like we're going to have to reinvent all the rules a little bit.
He's going to have to relearn a lot.
Well, and that does feel like parenting in general. Like every kid, like when you have 5 kids, like there's some things that I think you are able to detach from, like expectation wise.
Yeah.
Right? So we're about to have our 5th kid, and we just know, kids, I think we're less attached to like having an expected outcome of some variety.
Okay.
Aside from that, I think we've learned in our parenting that you have very few repeatable lessons that you can implement with a future kid because every kid responds differently.
Correct. Yes.
So you have to redevelop, like, for that particular kid, exactly how you're going to parent them because they're always so different and distinct. And there's some times where you can, like, use that one little trick that worked for one kid with, like, the next kid. But more often than not, you have to, like, figure it all out from scratch. And that feels like what's happening with homeschool potentially is we're going to have to, every kid that comes home, I'm going to have to really think about how are we going to teach this kid? What curriculum are we going to use? Is this going to work for them?
Yeah.
But homeschooling's been working shockingly well. And I think I mentioned like a while ago, we are struggling in the middle of this year we've been going on a long time. Sorry. I'm pulling a U.
Mm-hmm.
You're just looking at me silently.
I'm smiling and nodding.
Anyway, Christina needs extrinsic rewards, extrinsic motivation, and she doesn't have any intrinsic motivation.
No.
So that was like a big light bulb.
Intrinsic motivating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's our homeschool check-in.
Okay. Big talk.
Big talk.
So you were kind to me and decided that I needed to get out of the house and take a retreat. And I haven't been on a men's retreat in a long, long time.
Not in our relationship, really.
Well, I mean, Christ Renews Parish.
I know that's
a men's retreat.
Though.
It's the same. It's building yourself back up and having that one-on-one time with Christ.
All right. Aside
with
from that,
men,
you've never been on a retreat.
No, not since college. Before I knew you. Yeah.
Yep.
Long time ago. So. You gave me a retreat. I knew nothing about it except the location. I get up there, and lo and behold, there are 300 plus men there at this retreat. It was the Gathering of men's retreat in Estes Park. And I wasn't quite sure what to make of it when I got there at first, because it's different. I saw that I knew the priest that was going to be there. I knew one of them, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'll get to hang out with him and, be fine. No. No, because it's 300 guys. So it was interesting. It wasn't. They had a chapel, but the chapel wasn't like a highlight. It was just if you wanted it, it was there for you. So it was kind of a little bit more a la carte in that way. But we all came together and we would have a talk, and then we would have small groups, and we had a group of men that we were all connected to in the group, and we got to know each other over the 2.5 days.
So they kept your small groups.
Yes,
as the
kept
same.
that consistent.
How did they
good.
organize you guys into small groups, if you don't mind my asking?
We didn't do it. They already had it done.
Okay, so it was like you're in group beta.
Yeah, so I had my name tag, and then it said, what room I was in. Or if you rented a cabin, then it just said cabin on it, and then it said what group number you were in. So, we all looked down and said, oh, well, I'm in group 7. Okay. And there were 32 groups at least, plus the group for the leader, the core people that were doing lead. They also had small groups that they were doing while we were doing our small group. But yeah, it was a little bit different of an experience. They had a band. They were really good. Like, I would hire them any moment you could to bring them into your parish to have like praise and worship. They were amazing professionals. But it was, I don't know, I guess where I am in my spiritual walk, 10 years ago, I'd been like, my eyes would be pouring out in tears, and like my heart would be swelling because of like this charismatic music. But now it's like, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, but it's not feeding my soul in the same way. I'm on a different kind of path right now. My feeding my soul is my dedicated time to be with God that I've set aside, because as we've talked about before, like going through the in ipso program, and now having a spiritual director, and like I'm at a different point.
Yeah.
But it was very beautiful and wonderful to be in a room with men who were all sharing in that moment of praise for God and like truly trying to sing. But I don't know. It was good. I'm probably a horrible salesman for this.
Yeah.
The talks were amazing. I mean, men sharing their stories were just really raw and gripping moments. And then to be able to talk with these other men in our small group about it was very, very powerful, very helpful. And then there was just a lot of organicness that came from that. One of the guys, he younger, I think myself and our leader of our group were the oldest gentleman in our group, which was not the norm. There was a lot of gray hair.
I saw a lot of gray hair in the couple of pictures that you took.
Yeah, there's a lot of gray hair there. But for whatever reason, that was the group I was in. And one of my best friends was there, and that was a surprise. Had no clue. And apparently he's been going to this for like 10 years plus.
Yeah, you came in the door and you're like, you're started naming names of the guys that you're going to invite to go back with you next year.
Yeah.
Was like one of the first things that you said.
Right. Maybe that's the selling point right there. So yeah. It tells you that it was good enough that I want to go back, and I want to bring men with me, that I know need this as a life-giving moment in the beginning of their year. There's the selling pitch, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a little light on the sacraments, maybe.
We had mass. There was an optional mass on Saturday, and we did have exposition of the Blessed Sacrament, but there's a lot of other things that are going on during that, so it wasn't like just devoted to that. But that's, I think, intentional. It's like, okay, bring God, the presence of God, into this space and let God work. Yeah,
I'd be interested to go back and see what the mission of the retreat is, because I think that says a lot about how hopefully they're setting the retreat up, and if they're trying to make this accessible to a wide variety, including 10 years ago then it isn't going to hit you quite as strong as like when I went to my retreat, where it was just, 40 women. It was
a different retreat.
Yeah, it was a very different retreat, very sacramental focused. So, which isn't, it was just a different I think, intention, right?
Yeah.
Because the women that were on my retreat were like hardcores. So, versus if someone, is trying to grow in their faith and they're suddenly being presented with like all the hardcore stuff that you want to do, they might actually like take a step back, right? It might be intimidating.
Well, I think that was the beauty of this retreat, is that there was a little bit for everybody, in that, because Mass was beautiful. Both of them. Having the sacrament was amazing. Having time in adoration, because I went, was beautiful. One of the gentlemen, the younger gentleman that was on our group, we did the liturgy of the hours for evening prayer for Vespers. And we did that like by the fireplace, and a couple other guys came over and joined us and had
cool.
no clue how to do it. And then of course I screwed up, and because the paper in my little booklet's so thin, I like flipped 2 pages and I'm like, keep going. And the guy's like, well, where are you at? I'm like, oh, oops, flip back, start again.
Yay.
But just some humility. It's good.
Yeah. Confession?
Yes, confession. Okay. Of course, has to be confession. We had some other things that I won't spoil, because if one of the gentlemen that actually I hope to bring listens to this podcast, I don't want him to know.
Oh, okay.
You gotta have surprises.
Yeah, I gotta have some surprises.
That's part of a retreat, is there's always those gifts of beauty and mercy. But yeah, just the ability to see so many men, and they weren't just like from Colorado. There were men from Montana, Texas, Alabama.
Holy moly.
Like, they're coming from all across the nation.
Because there aren't enough retreats for men.
Yeah, I guess not.
It's a big problem.
Yeah, so this one's been going on 30 plus years now, and I would guess each year has grown more and more and more.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, totally worth going. I do want to go back, just so you know.
I'm glad.
And yeah, hopefully I'll be able to bring some friends with me to it. And I think the group of men that I was with, I'm going to be able to build a relationship with over time and help them on their journey.
Nice.
So that was an added bonus. I mean, yeah, you're going to meet a few people, but we did get enough time together to really build a bond and to want to be in each other's prayer life and be accountable for one another. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, we missed you, of course, but it's been exciting. We've prayed for you and everything.
Thank you.
And when you walked in the door, I was like, how are you doing? You doing okay? Because I know when I come back from retreat, it's like a shock to come back into the real world a little bit. Mm-hmm. And so like you almost need a soft landing.
Well,
so
I kind of got that coming down the mountain, because it's an hour and 20 to get down, at least. And it was snow all over the place. And a gentleman from the retreat was going down the hill, and he was going 20 the whole way down. So we had plenty of time to just relax and think.
Hopefully everyone knew how to engine brake or downshift.
Well, we didn't need to, because we were going 20 miles an hour, and it was crunchy snow. So it wasn't hard.
You just kept your car in neutral.
I was in second the whole time. It was fine.
Yeah.
But as I was coming down the mountain, I found on Spotify the Rosary and Gregorian chant, and it was all like one track. And so I got halfway through before I lost all connectivity, and then my phone, being the junk phone that it is, wouldn't reconnect. And so then that kind of just helped me to go, okay, I had that moment of peace, but now it's time to come back into the world around me. So, yeah, I don't think I was as jarring this time coming back in comparison to other times where,
with chirp.
Yeah, where at that time it was like, you're like, who's this dude coming in the door who wants to sit down and pray with me right now? And, that was a different time in my life, different part of my walk path with Christ. So, yeah, I want to go again.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, everyone should try to go on retreat once a year. It's so ideal that it's hard to implement it.
Yeah.
And I did my retreat back in May, and then I was scouring the internet trying to find retreats for men, and it's just so hard to find retreats for men.
Yeah.
You can actually find quite a lot for women, although even that, it's hard. And when the email goes out with like this retreat, I'm going to send it to a few of my friends and get them, interested to sign up right away. Because it fills up super duper fast. But then you found out that there's like a woman's version of this gathering of men. So is it like the gathering of women?
I think so.
Okay.
And it's in March 10th.
Yeah, it's in like March
at the
before baby
YMCA
pops.
of the Rockies.
Yeah.
Again.
So maybe I'll think about it.
Because you don't have to stay in the lodge. You could rent a cabin with a bunch of other friends.
Oh, I could.
Yeah. So
was it a silent retreat at all?
No,
Okay.
not a silent retreat at all. This is the opposite of silence. It
was a loud retreat.
Praise and worship the whole time,
Okay.
which again, it's you're going for this wide audience.
Yeah.
It's men of all walks of life, and by the end of the retreat, there's testimonials of the men who have been on retreat and what's happening, and it was just good.
Well, we have kids coming in the door from
Yeah.
a play, so it's probably a good time to wrap.
Yeah. CatholicHitch@gmail.com.
Especially if you know of any retreats near the Colorado area.
Yeah, let us know.
That you would like to recommend. Or even we can always share others that are happening elsewhere in the country that need a little bit of promotion. Please reach out to us.
Yep. May the Lord guide and direct our journey.
Amen.
I get this. You go get that.